for my own good, just so everybody know. Public comment period. Is there anybody from the public that wants to comment on this? I'm going to call on council members and people from the mayor's office if they're interested in talking specifically on the legislation when we get to it. Anybody else? All right, moving on. Contacts and disclosures. I saw Mike Montgomery at Ernest Day 2026 this Saturday. Texted with Peter about 360 cameras. I watched Stephanie speak on our behalf at Metro Council via the live stream. Thank you for that.
Trey and I saw each other at Mo's concert.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw Mike at my
so did Erica. Yep, we all saw each other there.
All right.
And I saw Mike and Jeff and Peter at the city council meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all pretended we didn't know
I
each other.
did too.
Yeah.
You did not discuss or deliberate business. Okay, cool. Update on the executive director hiring process, budget, and new legislation. So, does everybody know what's been going on, or should we just do a quick recap?
A recap would be good.
Yes.
Because I
Okay,
know
to
without-
start-
They're probably wrong.
So our last meeting was on May 20th, and right before that, I'd spoken to the mayor's office about what was happening with the hiring and the funding, and we had that conversation, and I updated folks on that there. And then, since then, the substitute there's a lot of budget working groups that have going on, and I watched some of those, and I saw our council members that are over here speaking up on our behalf, and I appreciate that. And there is money in the substitute budget that is in an administrative account. It's listed under ECD, and it's listed in a slightly vague way. I was going to bring that up today, but there is money in there in the substitute that was presented by Budget Chair Toombs, and that is $300,000. And Stephanie went and spoke on our behalf at least one meeting, and you can watch it online. And then, so what else has happened? And now we've got, yes.
So many people have called me to ask me about where is this money and how are we classified, and does that change as a result of these pieces of legislation?
One thing that was discussed in the budget meetings that I watched online, and you can watch them on the YouTube channel, was just that, where it was going to be put in the substitute. And it was specifically requested to be put in an administrative account so that whenever this legislation, whichever legislation passes or does not pass, then it can be moved as needed. So it's not stuck
Okay, good.
one place or another. And also, that has to pass still. Welcome, welcome. Agenda's there. And that'll be discussed tomorrow. Third reading, second reading tomorrow of the budget, first reading? Okay. So a lot of discussions are still ongoing with that. Many things could still change.
About that budget, what about the monies that need to be recouped from the interview process, from this year's budget?
I'm supposed to be getting, it's still there. The money stays there till June 30th.
Okay, but
Right.
you haven't been able to access it quite
No,
yet.
I mean, I'm supposed to get reimbursed for my expenditure like any second now.
Okay,
I didn't put it in until 2 weeks ago.
very good.
So yeah, that's where we are on the budget. Executive director, all paused because of budget. There's 2 new forms of legislation that have come out. The mayor's office put out one, and then Councilmember Stiles put out one. Number of people signed on to both of those from the council. I talked to, Councilmember Vo called me and said she would be here, but she can't because she has to be in New York for work. A number of council members said that. Councilmember Cap, Gad, maybe more that I'm forgetting. The mayor's chief of staff, Sami Tyson, who I've been speaking to over the last month or so in this process, she's out of town for vacation with her family. Otherwise, she said she would be here. We got Mr. Rosenberg, it looks like, from the mayor's office here. But do we have any questions on that? On the back of the agenda are the 2 different pieces of legislation that have been submitted, and they're both today. Mr. Curlin.
Our surviving candidate, is she still available? And does, in either of these versions, do we retain her and her search, or do we have to start again?
She's still available. That's all I can say. I can't say anything else about the rest of that. I don't have an answer to that. Any other questions?
I did speak with Jamari briefly, and he mentioned that was a viable, she would be a viable candidate for the position. So.
Right. Well, let's, mayor's office. Dave, do you want to speak to the legislation from the mayor's office first, and people can ask questions, I guess?
Hollywood.
Hey, Willie, right over there, there's the agenda. Thanks for coming. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the invitation. So clearly, things have been stuck and not in a great place for a while. The mayor has asked that we file legislation that would get provide the commission and the Office of Entertainment some structural and administrative support that it doesn't have access to right now. What the legislation does specifically is put the Office of Entertainment within the mayor's office to incubate in a style similar to the Office of Youth Safety so that it can grow itself and develop. This will allow the executive director to focus on the work rather than the administrative work of supporting their own position, all the HR work and payroll work that comes, and also ensure the administrative support beyond that, and also access to the resources that the mayor's office can provide. With that arrangement, it is required legally that the hiring be at the direction of the mayor rather than the Entertainment Commission. But I want to say also that if this legislation passes as filed, the mayor plans to hire a candidate that has been recommended by the Entertainment Commission and do it swiftly. And then also, of course, the money has been, that is in an admin account. When we say administrative account, it's not the administration, it's not in the mayor's office budget. It's in an account that gives some flexibility for it to be used for the Entertainment Commission, and it's an earmark for the Entertainment Commission in whatever format that turns out. So we've got this proposal. We know that there's a lot of trust to build and a lot of work to do, but the mayor's committed to supporting the work of the commission, the work of the Office of Entertainment, and seeing this really begin to move forward. And we're hopeful for your support, and certainly want to hear your thoughts, feedbacks, questions, suggestions as the process goes on.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Crum?
So you say that the mayor would contemplate hiring our previous candidate, but what happens in future years after this hiring process? When does the mayor also have control over firing this person? Do they get to single-handedly appoint them in future years? And I'll just say that to go with my question, the whole reason I've been sitting here for 3 years is to have an executive director for this office that is not a political appointee, specifically because that's a very, very, very ineffective way to have a film commissioner or an executive director for the office. So I'm just hoping that however this gets set up, that it doesn't become a political football like used to be the case in the state.
Great question. First, that thought would be that this is a matter of incubating it, and eventually once it gets support and there can be some people hired under the executive director, it moves out of the mayor's office. Regardless of what department it is in, it's still kind of at the whims of the political process one way or another. So that's the reality either way. Hope would be that when we bring this director on and they have the opportunity to get things up and running, that it'll be a very long tenure. That includes getting it moved over out of the mayor's office.
All right, thank you for your answer.
Trey?
So I understand the comments that you made today, and I appreciate you being here to make them. And I understand and appreciate the mayor saying that he wishes to hire a candidate that has been approved or sent by our commission. Admittedly, I have a difficult time believing that when specifically the statutory language is being changed to give the mayor complete discretion over the candidates. without approval or anything more than consultation from the commission. And I'm curious as to what level that consultation will be, and particularly in light of the mayor's office's recent comments during the budget hearings that the goal was to have a conversation with the commission about structure. And instead what we're doing is discussing a piece of legislation that was prepared also without any conversation with the commission.
Part of that question I'm going to defer to Metro Legal on, because there's a legal issue with retaining authority of the commission while putting it in the mayor's office. First, the reason that legislation was filed disputed was because of the interest in what happened during the budget process. Initially, the plan was to be able to do a supplemental budget and legislation to, to do first legislation addressing structure after the budget process, and then be able to allocate funding to it once it was in a tenable position. The level of interest surrounding it made it clear that even though this isn't the ideal time or timing to introduce legislation, that we needed to do it. So that because of many of you and many people in council were really interested in getting this resolved immediately, so we filed.
Follow.
Additional question. I know that in the legislation, and I know in your comments today, you say that want to be able to provide comparable structure and support like the Office of Youth Safety. Talk to me more about what that means from the mayor's perspective.
So the Office of Youth Safety is not contemplated to be something that lives in the mayor's office in perpetuity. It's going to have its own functions, and actually probably I don't think will end up being. I think the conversations around it joining the Department of Health at some point, rather than being a standalone department like a lot of the conversations around the Entertainment Commission. But when you first start with one staff member, an executive director, in both of these offices, that can't live out on its own, and the mayor's office provides unique support in being able to marshal the resources of Metro government and provide the administrative support, whether it's HR and finance or folks in the mayor's office that can point somebody who doesn't have Metro knowledge in how to navigate Metro government, which is something of a labyrinth.
Absolutely. And so the Office of Youth Safety was a creation of the mayor, correct? It wasn't a creation of Metro Council. It was an Executive Order 53 that created the Office of Youth Safety.
It was first funded by the Metro Council as part of the substitute budget a few years ago.
Out of the mayor's budget to the tune of $750,000.
$750,000
Right.
to an admin account.
Yeah.
And then, as part of setting up that office, the mayor signed an executive order that officially established the office and its duties.
And did the mayor hire a director for the Office of Youth Safety using that budget?
Yes.
And has that budget been eliminated now in his current recommended budget?
It's still there.
And there was no funding listed in his budget and no position listed for Office of Youth Safety in his proposed budget. And should we expect the same level of support as the Office of Youth Safety that I'm seeing there? I mean, in his 2026 and 2027 proposed budget, it had no budget listed for the Office of Youth Safety.
It's part of the mayor's office budget, and it's $750,000, which is the original amount.
Okay, I mean that's not what's included in the budgetary guide for the mayor's office. It says $0 for the Office of Youth Safety for both 2026 and 2027, and no position.
It's there. We feel Dr. Ms. Hildreth, who's the director, has hired somebody else and is working on others.
I think in the mayor's office budget, and I could be wrong about this, it's kind of a big lump sum that they don't share everything about, like all the detail. I could be wrong there, because our money was that way the first year. I'm not saying yes or no. Mr.
So
Curley?
I just want to.
Does Dr. Hildreth have a staff?
Yes.
And is that funded as well?
I just want to push back gently on a couple of things that you said. One of which is that we would that the mayor's idea for this year was to sort of set this up temporarily and see what happens. But in actuality, he yanked the budget and he did not appoint our candidate. So I'm not sure when his opinion changed, but in his official acts, he didn't support us at all.
His position didn't change, it was the approach that we're going to take. So the way it's set up now, currently, hiring a director, they're set up to fail. there's not an opportunity. So his hope was to, after this budget process was over, work to find a new structure, pass legislation, and then use supplemental funds to fund the position. The approach changed, the timing, I guess, changed based on the level of engagement and interest around getting it done now.
Well, you mentioned that it was going to be important to rebuild trust, and I think you're right, and I don't know how that's going to be possible, because even now, you're repeating this, I don't know what it is, it seems to be misleading, this idea that we had contemplating having a single staff person in the office, and that was a setup for failure, when in actuality, we had budgeted for an executive director and a staff person, so there would be 2 people in that office. It was funded that way on the recommendation of HR. The HR department told us to hire an executive director first, and then let that person hire staff. So it was never planned that there'd be a single person, so it was not set up for failure, and I don't know why that keeps being repeated.
That's exactly right, and the reason is that for the executive director, it's going to take them time to get up to speed. They'll have limited time to start doing their work and start understanding Metro while also doing their administrative functions. So it would not be a matter of a few weeks or a month before they were able to start the hiring process for administrative help. It's a catch-22 where they wouldn't have time to hire the help to help.
Well, with the assistance of the mayor's office for the last 3 years, we weren't able to do anything. So I'm not sure that the mayor's office is going to be supportive of this staff person, if history is any guide. So if it takes them a few weeks or a few months to get up to speed, that's much, much faster than what it has been.
I think it would take much longer, and it still wouldn't solve a lot of the issues of not having, but I understand your perspective on it.
All right, thank you.
I got a question.
Willie.
What happened over the years we've been putting this together? We had Jamari, Derek, we had a mayor's office person, Metro Legal, and everything we were doing. It took a long time, but they were right there. Why didn't this get said then, at some point during then?
We proposed legislation about 1.5 years ago to try to solve the untenable arrangement that was written in the Metro Code so that we could solve that, and it ended up not.
So for the last 1.5 years, everything we've been doing was already known. Like the mayor's office was like, we're not doing this. We're gonna let y'all go through it, but this ain't what's hot.
We recommended against the approach, and we weren't. Our perspective didn't prevail on it.
So we got Debo. This is like, I mean,
That's
kind of like our approach. Okay, it's an offer we can't refuse. I get it.
It's not a handle on the issue.
Yeah.
It's
sorry.
legal.
Mr. Gordon, hold on.
Can we return to the portion of the question where you said you were going to refer to legal as to how a commission works underneath the mayor's office? I personally like the idea of having some sort of administrative assistant. I think that's going to be a big boon to the office. But I'm really skeptical about the fact that the revolving door of administrations is going to be a problem. So I'd like to hear how we are an effective body if we're just waiting around for the mayor to make a
It's not
decision.
about the commission being on the mayor's office. It was about the split supervision in both versions of legislation.
The hiring being up to us, but the office being in the mayor's office. That's what he's saying. Can't be. It was the legal thing.
So the issue is that the mayor has the deliberative process privilege. That's a privilege that's recognized under Tennessee law. And to have that position be in the mayor's office, but also be subject to some oversight by this body, would potentially interfere with that privilege. And it just would not be tenable for the position to work in the mayor's office if it was set up that way.
Is there any proviso for us having any sort of word in the hiring and firing portion of it all, or that's just specifically to the mayor?
It would have to be to the mayor.
That's not a conflict if this is a Metro department, correct?
If it's its own separate Metro department,
Right.
I would have to look at that issue and analyze it.
Yeah, especially if the mayor has final hiring authority. And there wasn't a candidate that was dictated to him, but he has hiring authority, but a mandate statutorily that says that he shall hire a candidate from the ones that are presented to him.
Yeah, I haven't looked at that issing or
Okay.
analyzed
But the
it,
word
so-
shall is a significant legal word, right? That has a specific meaning. It's different than would or can. Like shall, like, not everyone here's a lawyer, but like shall means a specific thing legally.
Sure.
Yeah, and it means that they'll they have a higher obligation to follow through with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Thank you. Yes, may versus shall is a big difference, yes. Also, to the point about split authority, the way the legislation is written now is the mayor has hire fire, but the commission has supervisory authority. So ultimately, who would the director be listening to in the event of conflict?
Well, in the existing legislation, right, it's a metro department.
It is, but the mayor has hire fire in it. The answer to your question about why the mayor will consult with the the Entertainment Commission and expect direction from it is that our office doesn't have the expertise or resources to spend the time in the issues that you and the director that's hired will be able to delve into.
Well, but legally, the proposed legislation for the mayor's office is the mayor has total discretion in regards to hiring. There's no, yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So then the only other obligations or anything coming out of the legislation is that we have to trust you that you're going to talk to us and that you're going to take our considerations into play.
And the Office of Entertainment is still with the Entertainment Commission. But yes, when it comes to hire fire, that's correct.
Well, not just into hire fire, but it's completely at the service of the mayor and at the preference of the mayor and at the privilege of the mayor, and that it is not anything that we have anything statutorily or legally. There's no authority of any kind other than at the discretion fully of the mayor's office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to put too fine a point on it, but it's not just this mayor, it's all subsequent mayors.
Right.
So whoever happens to be mayor could completely have a different opinion about this, but once the power is given to that office, then all the work that we've been trying to do for all these years could just evaporate because it's outside of our control in any way.
Does the Office of Youth Safety have a commission of its own?
They have not a code-established commission. They're putting together a working group, I guess you might call it, those outside entities. My expectation and the mayor's expectation would be that 5 years from now, this will not be still incubating. If you look at Arts Commission, for example, it was 6 years after its establishment, before it hired its first director, but it still transitioned fairly quickly at that point into managing its own affairs once it was up and running. There's so many parallels.
So, you say that the mayor's office knows that they don't have the expertise or resources to do all of this stuff, right? Or to make a good decision.
As far as directing the Office of Entertainment day to day, no, we need an executive director to do that in concert with the commission.
Right, so even in picking an executive director, if they don't have the expertise and resources to pick the right person, why would you want to?
I'm not saying that that's none of the expertise to hire. There's a lot.
Same difference. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, expertise to hire, you need the expertise to hire. The same expertise you're talking about, you need that to hire somebody who's gonna run it all. That's actually the most unique, crucial, but
That's why the mayor is taking one of the recommended candidates from the commission.
this time, but they don't have to do that ever again.
Correct.
And that makes sense?
Or once.
I know it's
And our
your
hope
job.
is that this person will be the director at the time that.
But at some
the
point
office
they won't
ends
be.
off.
At some point they won't be. And then we'll get into the next situation.
You know,
And
the
then,
office is spun off by then.
but it might not be. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It really don't make sense. I know it's your job. You gotta break it down. But it just don't make sense. If you don't have the expertise to make the decision, why would you want to make the decision?
It would continue to be in consultation. Legally, it cannot be directed or limited number of candidates if it's within the mayor's office.
I don't know all the political mumbo jumbo. I'm just getting to the basics of it. It just don't make sense to me.
Saying it's the law, and that's why the word changed to consultation, and he's still hiring from a commission.
And that's why,
recommendation.
and that's
We
why,
can finally get.
it's the
going.
right thing, and that's
This-
why things are the way they are,
working.
and the state gonna take us. It makes sense. I get it now.
Anyone else with a question for the mayor's office on this? I'll ask one then. So just to be clear, with the hiring of the person, it's going to be one of the two people we sent to him is who will be hired.
Yes,
And when, how soon would that happen?
hopefully immediately after passage of the legislation.
Would you have something, Hazel?
Are those people going to still be available?
One is for sure, one is not.
The ones-
So,
Yeah, one is definitely not.
yeah, one has been hired somewhere else. Any other questions from council for the administration, council members?
If I was just ask a question, what would prevent the administration from making that hire today so that someone can get started working as the legislation's figured out? We've got money in the budget that's sitting there from last budget that's still accessible.
For the same reason that it hasn't happened up to this point. They're not in a position to succeed, and we're in with legislation that isn't legally tenable supervisory structure anyway.
That's so weird.
All right. Councilmember Stiles, do you want to talk about your other legislation here? It's the last 2 pages.
Okay. Well, first, let me just say, I know you guys are exasperated, and I really appreciate you all still being at the table to work on this and your commitment to this. For those of you that I've been working with for the last 4 years, I cannot express how grateful I am. I think you all have very eloquently stated what's wrong with the administrative legislation. I think they're coming in again with a lie and lots of tales of things we can't do, but we could do last term. Unfortunately, the law, a lot of laws are written to be wide, so like a big woolly mammoth can squeeze through it as a loophole, and that's really where we are. Because last term, this legislation passed, and a lawyer reviewed it in the mayor's office. It's just that this mayor has a preference of controlling it. And so now there's the dance of Metro Legal trying to give him what he wants. The legislation that I have is very similar to the legislation from back in 23 that we passed, where you guys get to do the hiring and the firing. We take the mayor out of it because all of the antics that you expressed to me when we created the commission in the first place are the things that you're suffering right now with, egotistical behavior, and I want control. I don't have any expertise, but I still want control. This bill forgets about all that. It leaves it outside of the mayor's office, right? Because the goal is for it to be outside of the mayor's office eventually. Well, let's not waste that time. As we can see, this administration is not interested in working with you. They can do a tap dance all day. This is the first time today that I've heard that they suddenly are willing to hire your person. Friday, there was no information about that. And to Mr. Rosenberg's point, this is about the pressure that they are feeling from everyone else, that council members are supportive of putting the money back. If the mayor supported you, would you have defunded the office? No. I think actions speak louder than words. You can't ignore it. Language is important. Trey, thank you for all of your points. So grateful that we have a lawyer on this commission. To move forward, that bill that works will be my bill. It comes out. There's a place for this individual to go. There is a department that is already offered because right now it is one person. So that's just one payroll. They have offered to help with that as well. This idea that, somehow you all have hired someone who's incompetent and can't figure out how to use a computer or figure out Metro, it's asinine. I would ask that you all support my legislation, that you encourage others to support this legislation. You've said from the very beginning, no one wants mayoral control over this office. It doesn't matter who the mayor is, not today, but who's gonna be the mayor next year or 4 years after that. No one wants this touched. The idea of having, someone like in, Memphis, who's been there for over 25 years, whoever's coming to town, they know that they get to go to that person, whoever the mayor, it doesn't matter. The idea that this mayoral administration can't understand that, and that the experts are telling them that, and they still want to do their own thing, is problematic. So this notion that, oh, let's pass their legislation and they're gonna hire our person and they're gonna work in conjunction with you, they've already shown you they have no interest. They filed legislation without telling you. This is the second time they did that, because they did that last year as well. And so this legal problem existed last year. I'm not exactly sure why we did the compromise last year. We finally made it through the entire hiring process, only to get to the end and for the mayor to defund the office right after he interviewed the candidates. So there's no level of trust here. You can't rebuild what you continue to break, even just a matter of days ago. And so that is, the people that are on the bill are people that have some entertainment experience, that have listened to everyone in the creative community and the emails that have come in. The people that are signed on to the mayor's bill don't know anything about entertainment. Maybe there's one person on there, and mostly that's just, the mayor's office called and they did them a favor, or they have a personal grievance with me, but it doesn't have anything to do with the actual policy of this. So, again, I'm grateful for what you've done, but in order for you to do the work that you were going to be able to do, and Mayor Cooper understood that. It's why he was fine with being in his office and you all being able to hire the director and the director hiring staff. That was trust. It was demonstrated trust. What you're being asked to do now is trust people that have shown you can't trust them, and that suddenly this is going to be the time you can trust them, but they've never given you a reason to. There's been a hurdle, one after the other, whether it was changing the name of the office, calling it something else last year, having to search for the funding, get it put in the right place. Then I had to do legislation to show my colleagues, this is how you create an office, this is how they're holding everything up, and finally get that passed. And then they let you finally do your new job posting. I mean, the examples over the last 3 years are plentiful. We do not have any examples of being able to trust them. So, as we move forward and there is a candidate who is ready and available, this legislation passes, then you guys have the opportunity to make that announcement and let that person begin this work that you waited for 3 years to take place. And I appreciate you bringing up the Office of Youth Safety, because we have had it for 2 years and I can't even tell you what it does. And the director has one staff member right now. We haven't seen a report of what they do, and they have gotten $750,000 for the last 2 years. And it's in the mayor's office. So there's your evidence of, oh, does this work with this group? The answer is no. Again, they've already said they don't have any expertise, so what happens when you put it in the office with a bunch of people that know what they're doing? And they just, get the win of like, oh, this is mine. I don't trust it. I don't think you should trust it. Council members that are here are the people that are supporting you. Lead sponsor is not here. Also didn't participate in this process. I just, go with what the evidence that you see. You know who's supporting you, and what's being said is not true. This office can exist outside this office. You don't need 6 years. You guys are all very capable. You have chosen someone who understands this business and has a background in being able to do the work. So.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
I just have a comment on that, and then I have a question. The comment is, we don't have 6 years.
Right.
Because right now there's more work in Metro Nashville that's shooting right now. That's just in the film world, not to mention the music world, than we've ever had before. And it's complicated and it needs as much support from the city as it can get, and it's not getting it. And I don't know if that work may all go away over the next 6 years because it's not getting support. So that's my comment. My question is, in this new legislation, just to follow up on the question I asked the mayor's office, it's written in future tense, but I assume the intention is that we can hire our chosen candidate immediately. We don't have to go through another selection process.
That is correct. That's the whole point of this. You have already done the process. It is so disrespectful to give you the idea that new legislation passes and they start this process all over. It's disrespectful, and it certainly gives the impression that Nashville has no clue what it's doing. You have to do a third round of applications and interviews. So, yes, you would be able to move forward after this passes.
All right, thank you.
Trey?
Hi.
Hi.
I also have legal questions in regards to this piece of legislation as well. While the current legislation has us as a commission having the ability to make recommendations of candidates, but then the mayor making a decision out of those available candidates, I think that solves some possible legal problems that may come up as to authority. But with this, are there other metro commissions that have ultimate hiring and firing authority for a metro employee?
Yeah, the Metro Arts Commission hires the executive director of Metro Arts. So this is very similar to that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're not gonna, if this legislation passes, that we're not just facing down another legal challenge that just starts us right back where we're at in the first place, because that structure. I know the previous piece of legislation, there were so many conversations and so many compromises back and forth in regards to specifically that issue. This eliminating that issue, I'm trying to make sure that there has been, the legal diligence on this front, that one, there's the authority for that to happen, and two, that it's not going to be a situation where we're not going to be able to access funds or some other bullshit like that, because we've created a new legal problem through this.
This doesn't exist. As I said, Metro Arts functions just like this. The executive director hired by the commission, and then they hire their own staff.
Has this piece of legislation gone through a Metro legal evaluation at this point?
It has gone through our council staff. Our bills go through our lawyers for council office. So yes, it has.
Matthew, have you seen this and been able to read through it?
I have not seen it. To my knowledge, it hasn't been sent to Metro Legal.
Got it. Peter?
Well, I mean, I have the same question as Trey, and the same question Max just asked, which is, last time when there turned out to be a problem, it wasn't explained to us there was a problem for like 2 years. And so I'm just wondering if there's anybody, I mean, this room has current legislators, past legislators, and 2 lawyers. Can anybody say that we're not going to have, I mean, you said you wanted to do a deliberative process on one of the questions that was asked. This is pretty straightforward. Off the top of your head, looking at something that's one sentence, can you identify a problem that's going to make this fail?
I haven't reviewed it before today, so before I gave an opinion on it, I'd have to look at it.
It's an appropriate answer.
I'm going to email it to you and Derek now.
And more than happy for him to look at it, but again, in order for us to file it, our legal staff has to go over it first.
I will reply to that is that they looked at the first one too, and that was a cluster.
Your difference in who looked over the legislation for last term, that was a lawyer in the mayor's office who's quite brilliant, which is why I said the loophole here is based on who the mayor is. It's not about the law. That mayor was okay with allowing you all to do the hiring and it live in his office. He was okay with that. This mayor is not. So now they want to manufacture, oh, we can't possibly have that. But if it was actually impossible, it wouldn't have made it through the lawyer that filed it last term. And I said that to you guys last year. That's, the crazy politics. Are you reading Big Trouble?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay, good to see you. And that's the reality that we've been in. That's the politics that we've been playing with, is the interpretation. If it wasn't feasible, we couldn't have done it last term. It's just a matter of someone else wanting to control it this term. So now everyone's being asked to make it look like this just couldn't work last term. And the easiest way, to me, is to just remove mayoral involvement. It's not going to leave anyone hanging out there. I know that's the impression, much like this is an office of one. That was a lie that's been run for quite some time. There's always been money since last year to have more than one person. So as long as you know what the budget is, what happens is that the stories get told when you know that many council members don't necessarily know the details of an issue that's happening within council. And so it makes it easier to walk into a room and say, oh yeah, commissioners knew we were making these changes like they did last year, or, oh, this is always gonna be an office of one, and then give those kinds of quotes to the news. Those are falsehoods, and you guys know that.
Well, there's also multiple metro departments that are offices of one, or only have one approved employee within the budgetary structure.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You can tell stories when there's not someone refuting you. This is where we end up, but.
There are no departments of one in metro government. Clear.
Sure.
Okay. Hazel?
So I just wanted to just make a comment on 2 or 3 things. You know, the person that we would hire, whether they had a person with an assistant from the beginning or not, we're forgetting the fact that we are here. We would be supportive also to the person that's hired, because one, we don't want them to fail. We would want to make sure with our expertise in being in the film industry and music industry on a day-to-day basis on how we could help to make sure that things were successful. The other, I wanted to agree with Peter, we don't have much time. There are people looking at us to come to do projects here. But if we don't have things in place and we can't even settle the argument that takes place at the kitchen table every night, you know, people are not going to look at us favorably. I don't care how many Super Bowls you have, how many stadiums you have side by side. If you can't handle these fundamental issues, you know, we won't be able to attract the people here who want to make film here. We just had someone to move here from LA, and he's getting ready to do a film here, but he says, now Hazel, tell me, am I going to have problems here? And so I couldn't lie and say, absolutely not.
Well, I think it comes down to what Big Fella was saying, and this is what I've been saying all along. The experts need to make the decisions. You all whittle through the list of people that applied. You look through the lenses of your own experiences to say who could do this job. If no one has experience in entertainment, in music, in film, in anything, quite frankly, no one in the mayor's office does. So it doesn't make sense for the hiring and firing to take place in that office.
Jeff, then David.
I believe that we're all on the same page. We need to find an organization or a resource that serves the city in a fine way. No argument on either side of it. What the issue I see is the administrative load that comes with it. And if we are a department, as we set up with this legislation, we're going to just push the candidate right off into the deep end. And is there a Metro 101 where they can figure out how to do it? And then working underneath an administration that has issue with it being a department of one, will there be any roadblocks that will be difficult to overcome as a result of that relationship?
Do somebody want to speak to that?
So,
Who are you asking that to?
That's to the wide open world. I don't have a.
I think.
Were you trying to respond to that one? Okay.
I think what you've experienced over the last 3 years, where you get pushback and then someone has to make them do the right thing. I think we're really at the end of that to do another piece of legislation where this person, you guys make the announcement that they're hired, then they have to be able to do the work, right? Because otherwise then we get to say, well, we got the funding back in the office and this person has been hired, and then here are the things that the mayor's office has been laying as traps, right? That's the public thing that you get to share, and you know, shame seems to be the only thing that works around here in order to get things to move right in the right direction, because once the whole council was supportive, or I should say, you know, people that were here in the working session and also the chair of the budget said, I'm supportive of putting the money back, then suddenly, you know, now we're moving into, oh, we're gonna hire your person, right? These are the results of it. But I do think that once this exists, you have support on council that will be asking, okay, this person's been hired, how are things going? Have they been given X, Y, Z? So the checks and balances will be there, so we'll have less issues with roadblocks.
Follow up or no?
Well, it doesn't really answer my question. I mean, it's nice that you guys will check in, but we've been having people check in with us all along our progress. we just don't have any guarantee that there's going to be somebody saying, okay, this is the legislative or the administrative calendar, and you need to file this by this time and this by that time, and speak with that person to get this account set up, and some of the actual functional things that makes us work within Metro.
So you're incorrect in terms of people checking in on you. No, I'm gonna correct that, because the reason why you were able to go into your hiring process was because I found out how they had moved the money and what the holdup was in order to remove that. So
That's all well and good. I'm
what
sure
is-
you spoke with the chairman, but we can't speak amongst ourselves to be efficient at all, so.
Yeah.
that was the
Hold on.
legislation that passed last
All right.
year.
So Dave, you had your hand up, then Jacob, Trey, and Peter, unless y'all want to respond to this here.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Personal attacks aside, including on Ms. Hildreth, who is doing really good work right now for our team. The point in question you're making is a very good one. We've seen at other levels of government where people come with the idea that, just do something and it happens, and there is a lot that goes into government administration. It's nice when some of those things can be knocked out and easier to navigate, but it is a complex endeavor. And it's also a really good point that everything that the commission directs has to be done in a public meeting that happens every so often is an inefficient way to really kick this off and get it moving. I understand the skepticism. I don't blame you for the skepticism. However, in the job of being a chief executive and a leader, it's not about being an expertise on all the topics. There are 50-something Metro departments, and I promise, while the mayor is very knowledgeable and a quality policy wonk, he doesn't have expertise in what every department does, but he can work with the people who do to make sure you hire a good director of codes administration, even though he couldn't go run the codes administration office himself, or take your pick of Metro functions. In this case, he's looking to defer to the perspective of commission.
Thank you. Councilmember Coopin?
Okay, I've got a bunch of random thoughts. If I could ask Mr. Rosenberg. What's the last time, you mentioned that if the legislation passed, you'd have to be able to hire the remaining candidate that the commission recommended. When's the last time y'all spoke to that candidate to see if they're still available?
The mayor's office has spoken to one of the commission's candidates and is confident that they're available.
When did that occur?
Very recently.
Because at the budget work session, we were told by Kristen Wilson that there's no comment on personnel, so I'm sure what changed since then.
Trying to avoid talking about a single person, but you're framing it.
Down to party one. And what changed, so May 1st, not the budget. Obviously the legislative concern, sounds like they're around for some time. What changed between May 1st and now that drove the mayor to now say, let's try to fix this?
As I mentioned before, rather than doing it after the budget, which was the original intent, it was clear that even though this isn't the best time to bring forth this sort of legislation to address it, that it was important to the commission.
If you fixed it after the budget, how would it have been funded? Something about budget. So I mean, appreciate that. A couple thoughts. I come with no personal biases or thoughts or whatever. I just come as a Belmont graduate in a music industry and film and TV professional in my various hats along life that I've lived, and really care about it. I think one of the commissioners mentioned we're at a really important crossroads. Somebody asked me, why now? Why is it so important? And it's because we're reaching this momentum. We have Scarpetta filming here. We have 911 filming here. We're probably missing shows that don't know that Clarksville has a fantastic Main Street that can be turned into Holland, Michigan, right? So, and then of course our music industry is at a crossroads as well. So to me, this is not a let's deal with this later. We've got to figure this out quickly. I think that when I hear there's no department of one, I take personal offense to that because there's 40 departments of one. They're called Metro Council members. which is, a little silly to say it like that, but really, we have 20,000 plus constituents that we serve, and we're the executive directors of our district, and, it's not easy. It took a year or two to figure out where the bathroom was and which lever did what, but when you asked about Metro 101, we were able to learn and get in front and get FaceTime with people and figure out how to run our district. So I do think it's possible with a strong executive director to have them figure that out, to have them establish that. And y'all are in the music industry or TV and film industries, so there's lots of people in those industries that figure out how to do a lot with a little. And so, I think that to me, in an ideal world, which sounds like it's unfortunately not legally tenable, I do see the benefit of having this be in the mayor's office and have them, going to get a cup of coffee and talking to someone else and creating that synergy or that opportunity. But I think that the hiring and firing needs to be apolitical. It needs to not be with a candidate that can change every 4 years or 8 years, and y'all are the experts in the industry, and so y'all should be the ones picking who that person is. In the ideal world, to me, you do both. You pick them, and then they could live within this office. But that sounds like that's not legally allowable. So then if you have to choose, okay, it's all the mayor's office or it's all not. And as we know, we're 12, 13, 14 months away from an election, right? It's going to get really busy from a campaign perspective, and the mayor has a lot of very important priorities that he's working on with Choose How You Move and all these other, got a data center moratorium going on. There's a lot on his plate, and so the way I look at it, you've got a mayor who has chosen to not hire this candidate. I understand that it was interviewed maybe February, March, who has chosen to not come back with feedback on, hey, can you find a different candidate, here's why, and then remove the funding in the budget, and has said, this isn't gonna work. And I don't say that critically, I don't say that as a personal attack, I don't say that negatively. You're the mayor of a massive city with a $4 billion budget, you've got to pick and choose, and so to me, what I hear is, this isn't the top priority, and that's okay. But then from the council side, we hear this is a priority, this is really important to us, right? Even though there's two different structures proposed, there's 20 some odd council members that are signed on to one or the other piece of legislation. So there's a lot of us that care, there's a lot of us that are invested, and then y'all care and are invested, right? And so, and candidly, I don't know what might have happened after the budget, but I don't know why you wouldn't, if this was a conversation, why this wouldn't happen pre-budget, because then maybe you could have found money if you determine you need 4 people for the 4 people. So to me, to put it doesn't make sense to then put it in the office where, the mayor has said this is not a top priority, this is something I don't see working well, this is something I don't value funding right now. And again, like I said, to be very clear, that's not a criticism or personal attack. I'd rather put it with you guys for the next 12 months. You've got a candidate ready to go. You can hire them immediately, right? And then run it for 12 months. And you talked about incubation. I was an entrepreneurship major. Incubation, you test it and see if it works. You could also incubate it out of the mayor's office, and if it works, great. And if in 12 months we're back here and saying that didn't go so well, we could do other legislation and put it back in the mayor's office, right? None of this is written in blood forever and always. So anyway, I guess what I'm, long-winded way to say, I want to elevate y'all's voices. I think you guys have been through a lot, and want to make sure your voices are heard in this process. But I really struggle to support putting it, effectively in an office where you have no control over the hiring, no control over who it is or what they do, versus give it to y'all, let y'all run it for the next 12 months, support you as best as we can, and then go from there.
Thanks for that. Trey, then Peter.
I'm going to say something because there hasn't really been much of an opportunity in the 3 years that we've been doing this where this collection of these people are in the room. And so I'm going to say this while there's this collection of these people in the room. Because this commission, we're here to try to serve the constituencies and the industries that we represent. And we are up against a lot in that regard. This is a very competitive space. And there is huge economic impact to be had in this space, and I know that Nashville knows that because they sure as hell don't hesitate to put it on every billboard and every piece of communication that goes out. Entertainment is the backbone of this city, and we're here to try to be the backbone of those industries. And in order to do that, we need solutions and not politics. And we need the mayor's office and the city council to stop fighting each other and to have some kind of consensus building to have some kind of cooperation and stop putting us in the middle where we're made to choose which team we're gonna back. I'm fed up with it. And we don't have the support at the state level that we need. Yeah, there's a state tax incentive. I can take my employees from the state of Tennessee, talented employees from the state of Tennessee, across the border 45 minutes away, work them in Kentucky out of state, and get more tax incentive money back working them out of state than I can working them in state. So we need city support in addition to the state because we can't rely on the state. We're not a leader within our own state. Memphis has an office. Chattanooga has an office. Knoxville has an office. Every one of those cities can figure it out, but we can't. And it's so insane that we're having to fight all of these battles. And we as the commission are being put in the middle of having to solve these structural problems, solve these political problems, and pick a team. Because the two groups that we're having to deal with seem to be more interested in scoring points against each other than they are about offering us solutions. And I'm so done with it. Done with it.
Thank you for that. I think that echoes a lot of our feelings, definitely mine. It's very frustrating and just like spent so much time doing this. Anybody? Oh, Peter, you were up next.
Yeah, so first of all, Councilman, I agree with a lot of the stuff that you said. Just to build on Jeff's question and Hazel's answer, which was the resources that this new hire would need are available in this council. This council has a collection of some of the key people in the industries we're talking about, and so they have a lot of expertise in the subject matter. But I've also watched Max spend 3 years learning his way through Metro hierarchy and all the machinations. I've seen Stephanie learn her way through the budget process and how it's done. I mean, we've had to fight this fight over the last several years and have gained expertise in how city government works or doesn't work. And I think that puts us in a really good spot where our hire doesn't have to start at square zero because they've got our experience, which has been hard won. So I think that's one thing. And the second thing I want to identify about, the reason I ask about this one particular candidate is one of the reasons that I voted for that candidate in the selection process is that she walked in the door with a plan, a fully realized 1-year plan for how to get the office up and going, how to achieve all of its objectives, and it was a very, very good plan. And so she's coming in already prepared to do the work that you're saying the mayor's office needs to do. The mayor's office doesn't have to do it because we've got a person who's already planned it, and we've already got people with expertise in those areas. And you have admitted that the mayor's office doesn't know how to do this. It's been demonstrated to us the mayor's office doesn't know how to do this. And so it seems very unfair to say this person's going to start from zero and that's why they need help from the mayor's office, because we know for a fact now the mayor's office can't do it, and we know that other people in this room can.
Mr. Rosenberg.
I hear you, but I'm not referring to subject matter expertise or the ability to have a plan for the office. I'm referring
and neither am I.
The administrative work, the structural work, the navigating Metro, and the finance and the resources and the legal and all of that sort of thing.
And in all due respect, we've learned that stuff. We went through a huge learning curve with HR, learning what they will and will not do and what all the rules are. You know, Max has been to every department in Metro in doing these things. We've been through the budget process. We've been through the HR process. We've been through the general services process of finding space. We've learned all about how Metro picks places to have meetings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we have learned in this process, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on Metro government, but what I have learned, and this is really key, is apparently nobody is. Nobody understands how Metro works, and so it's kind of unfair to say, we're gonna have to bring this person, they're gonna have to learn everything about how Metro works, because they would be the first one.
Councilmember Stiles?
Erica, did you?
So, I guess I'll push back a little bit. I understand how frustrated you are, trust me, because I don't enjoy sitting here right now. I thought this was done after last year, that we had come on the compromise for you guys to be able to move forward. So I'm not trying to gain points. I'm here fighting for you. And that's why my bill allows you guys to do the hiring. It's not about points. It's about a bill that says everything gets taken away from you and maybe you'll get consulted with, or a bill that allows you to hire this person if my bill passes. That's all I care about. The point of creating the commission wasn't about creating points. It was about having a functioning body for this city that is gonna be revenue generating, that promotes work, so people don't have to leave this city to work, so you don't have to go to Kentucky. So your people can be here. So we as a city can, this executive director, come up with some incentives that go on top of the state incentives so we can make things work. So I am here for you. I don't give a damn about points. So if you are interested in being able to do the work that you do, then unfortunately, you do need to figure out which legislation you support, because one will take everything from you that you've worked hard for, and one will respect who you are and what you do and let you do it. And take the personalities out of it, and that's what you're left with. Hiring power taken away, or you get to keep it and you get to hire your person.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to clarify that the original piece of legislation was not reviewed by or cleared with the Metropolitan Department of Law. That's the same with the legislation last year. If we can finally move forward with that sort of thing, I think we can. I don't want to suggest that any of the frustration that you have and feel and everything that you described is one iota less valid than you've made clear it is. For our office, it's not a fight with the Metro Council. We worked with a lot of partners on the council to try to advance legislation that we thought would promote the work of the commission and allow things to move forward. We haven't succeeded in that, but it's not a question of trying to, win points or have a fight in the sandbox. And I understand why even saying that is met with skepticism, but all I can share is that's our perspective, and the mayor's committed to seeing all of the work succeed and do so swiftly.
Did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Trey, thank you for your words. I share your frustration. I think I'm the only person in this room out of this group that was not involved in the creation and the back and forth and the political this and political that, and I come without any of that baggage or knowledge, or I just kind of showed up and was like, hey, this is really cool and really important, and I've got deep background, including a business major and running a couple businesses and looking at organizational structure, and so I don't care about political points. If I thought the mayor's bill was better, I would support that. I had mentioned that to the mayor's office. If I thought Councilman Styles' bill was better, I'd support that. So I just want to be kind of quick. I know y'all know this, but really to me, I'm just coming at what's gonna get us moving as quick as possible. And I know that if I look at both bills, I know that the bill that gives the commission full authority will immediately get to work. We'll hire someone and you'll get to work, and the people in this room are fantastic people. Y'all know, y'all each could be the executive director and do a good job, right? So you've got all these people in the room who can do this. And I know that's gonna happen. If it goes into the mayor's office, I don't know. And we can hear all the promises and we can believe whatever, and if we can believe that it doesn't have to be malicious, right? It doesn't have to be personal. It could be the mayor gets tied up with, a crisis that happens in the city that he, another tornado that he has to focus on, right? There's a lot that goes on in that office, and it just could get lost in the shuffle. And we're 12 months or so, like I said, before an election. We just don't have the time to waste. And again, to me, there's no downside, right? We've got the money allocated. Hopefully, if this budget passes, let the commission hire somebody, go to work, see what happens, and in 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, if you say, hey, you know what, we really need them in the mayor's office, we can still shift it. We can still make that legislative change. And then again, I give weight to the fact that, the bill sponsor, the mayor's office bill sponsor, and none of the co-sponsors are present, here today. But you've got multiple co-sponsors of the other bill that are present here, and obviously schedules and logistics and things like that. But anyway, I just think it speaks to where the commitment lies, where the energy is behind, and I think that's the path I would take.
Oh, Councilmember Evans.
Hey there. Thank you for letting me speak. I really appreciate the idea of how much time you all have spent on this, and I do think it's been a tremendous use of your time and energy and everything else to be able to get to this point. And also, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but like you said, what's the path forward? And I think that's where we need to come back to. And, we've heard I'm signed on to Councilmember Stiles' bill. I understand, first of all, like Mr. Rosenberg was talking about, related to, being able to hire the person that you all had vetted and interviewed and brought forward. That was new information. And so I appreciate that there's that thought process going into the conversation, because I think that's important too. I did want to flag a question or a comment kind of related to the chair substitute budget, because it's a question that I'll be asking in budget and finance today, because how I interpret, I want to get legal interpretation from Metro Legal, but I don't know if any of you have looked at the substitute budget that was published today. And so there's a section on page 4 of the substitute that specifies, upon a change in applicable law that modifies the organizational placement of the Nashville Office of Entertainment within the metropolitan government, the Director of Finance is hereby authorized to allocate and transfer the appropriation provided herein. So my question that I'll be asking, in the Budget Committee is, which legislation is there an interpretation kind of in that audience about what legislation needs to pass? My interpretation would be it needs to be the administration's version of the legislation. I don't know that to be true, but that was my initial reaction, whenever I read it. And so it kind of makes me think about, related to like the administrative conversations, there are other departments in Metro government. And so I also wonder, should that be part of the conversation, exploring alternatives to the mayor's office that also could provide administrative support? I do not know all the departments where that could potentially live, but that is also something that I think about, because I think the notion of, we've used the word incubation a lot. I think that is important to have, like, supports around, internal supports moving things forward, because our government is so complicated. And so that would also be something that I would look for, if we could find a path maybe that merges all of these ideas together to give the incubation and support needed to make it successful, to still give you all the hiring recommendation and that authority, that you were looking for with the current candidate. I think Mr. Sims brought up a really good question or comment about the, what does it look like long term? Like if there's a finite period of incubation, like let's say it is 5 years, or that is language that is potentially included, like could there be a time limit? I don't know. I haven't thought about that before. Also, could there be a provision related to, if the candidate that you have selected, were to depart for whatever reason, could you have the same recommendation process and potential, influence over hiring, at that point as well. So those are the things that I thought about as you all were having your discussion.
Thanks for that, and for pointing that out in the substitute. And I also want to ask about that. In the substitute, the money that seems like it's allocated for this is under ECD, which is under the mayor's office, and it's under. And again, I feel like this is exactly where it was last year in the budget, and we had to move it out of there. And it doesn't say specifically for this department or this office or this commission. It says contribute music and entertainment, economic development, and film initiatives, $300,000.
That was originally, so when we first created the office, it went under the Office of Entertainment, then it got renamed. According to
this is where it's been the last 2 years, under the mayor's office. That's where the money was. And so I don't know why it's there instead of like a separate, I thought it was going to be in its separate place, unless this is another additional $300,000 for them.
Director Reed shared last week
I heard her say it, but then I see this. So it's like,
I will have to ask her, but it was not supposed to be in the mayor's office, as you heard.
It's not. It's like under ECD though, right?
Right. This section is regulation, inspection, and economic development, and it lists things like small business incentives and affordable housing loan programs. So these are all non-mayor's office area items.
Because we do have a division number, 74.
Yeah, but this is under 1001. Ours is one. I think they
Ours is
74.
1074.
Yeah, they specifically didn't put it there.
Because the legislation's happening now, so
I
it has to
gotcha.
go somewhere.
And can I
neutral.
Yes.
just ask, because Councilmember Stiles mentioned maybe already thinking about an office spot. Have you?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
have intentionally not said anything.
Okay.
No trust, as we've already done.
Okay.
Peter?
I just have an overall thought here, which is, as we've gone through this whole process, we did have some support from the mayor's office. I mean, Jamari was in so many of our meetings and other people, and it all seemed like we were kind of working as a team. And I'm concerned in this discussion about how if this is in a separate department, then the mayor's office is not participating. And if we're in the mayor's office, other people aren't participating. And I don't know why, if this Office of Entertainment is allowed to exist, why the mayor's office couldn't still be helpful or participate on some level, because we're all partners in the same endeavor. Why it has to be all of one or all of the other.
I think I don't want to give the impression that the office would be completely abandoned, but when legislation said it was no longer part of the mayor's office, then the folks in the mayor's office needed to focus on their duties that are within the mayor's office. That was an intentional decision to not be a part of the mayor's office, which makes clear that some separation was desired and was granted.
So I will respond to that by saying that was not our decision, right? That was a legislative decision that we did not write any of this legislation. For what it's worth. Did somebody else raise their hand? Well, yeah. Mr. Cuban.
So I've been going down the rabbit hole on boards and commissions and who's hiring and firing to. Very dark rabbit hole. But I think it's a great question that's asked, and it's one that I continue to ask. I'm like, I don't understand why it has to be contentious. I don't understand why, whether it's in the Metro Council office, why it has to be, well, if it's over there, I'm not going to help, and if it's over here, I'm not going to help. And again, my only reason to support it being on its own is because the mayor's office could choose to put a lot of support or not a lot of support behind it. If it's fully in control and it says this isn't important, it could shelve the whole thing, regardless of who the mayor is. The Metro Parks Board hires the parks director. Full stop. Mayor still works for the parks. Mayor still goes to greenway openings and is deeply involved in something that is not in the mayor's office. It's not hired and fired by the mayor's office. It's not controlled by the mayor's office. So again, I think that just because it's not in the mayor's office doesn't mean it needs to be not supported. I really would love for them.
We don't provide the administrative support for that department. That's done by the department.
I'm not talking about administrative HR. I'm just saying from a holistic.
After selling my business for $23 million.
Commercial breaks. Look at that.
I'm sorry. Well, that didn't help this commission. Could we have that 23 million?
Refer that to budget.
Be worse.
I got 23 million from this. I don't, it doesn't, I'm not saying administrative or HR, but it could, I mean, there's nothing that, it doesn't need to be contentious, and it could be, even if it is on its own and it is supported by a commission, the mayor's office still could say, this is important to the city, it's important to ECD, it's important to Nashville, and I'm gonna get behind it no matter where it lives. It could be a third-party nonprofit, right? So I guess that, I agree with that, it shouldn't matter where it is, everybody should be supporting it, but the question then becomes who's got the bandwidth and passion to really dive into it.
So it is 3:45. We're supposed to have this room for 15 minutes. People have committee meetings and other things to do. I'm going to let Mr. Montgomery speak because he hasn't yet, and then Councilmember Stiles.
Yeah. Okay, I
go
don't
for it.
have anything really earth-shattering to say, except, as Peter said earlier, right now we're busier here than we have ever been. There are people coming into this town from all over the country with suitcases full of money that they want to spend, and we're here Our job is to see that they spend it in Davidson County.
Right, right.
We're all on the same team here. That's Davidson County, right? That's what we want. And we want to make sure they spend it in Davidson County, and we want to hire the person that's going to help them set up a concierge service, so when they call up on the phone and say, we got a suitcase full of money and we're thinking about coming to Tennessee, and they go, well, let me tell you where to spend it. You want to spend it right here in Nashville, and we're going to help you. It's all in place. We got it in place. That person can give them the right answers, and they never, when the mayor's termed or gets voted out of office, that person, the concierge, will still be there.
But
So
can I-
everybody,
Yes.
like in Memphis,
Yeah.
like in Knoxville, this has been working for 25 years in Memphis, 10 years in Knoxville, with the same person. They always know who to call, they always know who they're gonna get, and they know where they can come and spend their money and who's gonna help them do it.
But I just want to add on to because it's a good place right now. There is a lot of work here about. We saw what happened when Nashville left, and I think there's a little bit of an assumption. Sometimes it feels like from the city that this is a self-replenishing fountain, and it is not. And I think there's a production house that may be walking out of here in a couple of years just
Yeah.
because someone's maybe going to graduate from high school, say.
Yeah.
So two of the things that keep being cited.
That's my kid.
Yeah, Max is gonna go.
I was like, who?
You know, like, I think we are at a critical point that needs additional energy and investment on the ground in the city, and I think we can get a little drunk on what's happening right now and not be thinking about what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and how do we make sure it's our people who are working.
That's how we lost Nashville.
Yes.
Erica.
And just to add, the longevity is really important, I feel like. We can't have this turnover and turnover and turnover, just like Mike's saying with those.
Consistency is
Yeah,
key.
consistent and longevity.
And to be able to hire somebody to know that they will be here for more than a year.
Yeah.
Taking a job that's for more than a year.
And
All
you,
right.
you say when Nashville left?
Yeah.
Okay, Nashville, it ran its 6 seasons and it was done. Look what it left behind. Lower Broadway. Okay, you could draw a straight line from the Nashville television show to Lower Broadway. And all those star bars and all those guys down there, that came from that.
But even so, we should do it again.
We should. we should do it. Do it.
Councilmember Stiles, do you want to say something? And then-
Again, for me, the goal is for you guys to be able to do your jobs, and it's been 3 years, and it's supposed to start in 2023. So, however we get there, and expeditiously is what I want. If there was a way to compromise between the two bills, I'd be happy to do it. I compromised last year. I had to take it out in order to move the hiring process along, so you guys could open it up to do applications. If the mayor's office was willing to compromise to figure out how do the experts still remain the main thing, and the mayor still get to make an announcement and feel involved, I'd be willing to do that. But if not, we have what we have.
Yes, Cooper.
Thank you, and thanks for putting this together and for everything. I disagree with the council members that who are here that we should pass another back of the napkin piece of legislation and wait 12 months and see whether we got anywhere or not. We've got a proven method to go and do it. And I think that we all want to see this succeed and not have to return to this conversation again. And that's what we're committed to doing.
What's the proven method? We've seen this. We've seen this before in Nashville multiple times, and it's failed every single time. So it's been proven, but it's not been proven to be successful.
A lot of our departments were originally.
So he's speaking specifically about the history of the mayor's office of film and special
Yes.
events.
Film and- right.
So
got it.
Which is why all of us have talked about this not being in the mayor's office for so long. And he's quoted in the article from 1999 saying the same thing
We just
when it
watched it
happened.
fail.
And then it happened again, even worse after that. And then it's part of NDOT now, and they don't do what's in the legislation. All right, so I think
They
we
do sit in the mayor's office. or the president's
partially, yes. So I feel like we've spoken about this about as much as we can or should.
Now we vote.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. As an ex officio member, Bonna, you have anything to throw at the wall here for us? Any advice to throw into the mix?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else
Free shot.
have something they want to say about this or make a motion of any kind before I say anything? No? I mean, for me, it's very frustrating that we're here. I don't want to pick a side. I don't want to pick a bill. This is me personally. I don't care about this, like with the legislation stuff. I just want to hire the person and get to work. And it's very frustrating to have been expecting that all year and to get to this point and then it's like, oh wait, no, we can't do it. Because that's what we all thought all year long. And that's why he did all this work. And the way that was handled was not good. And I want to believe you, but it is very hard to believe you. And not you, the mayor's office specifically. So I don't know where to go from here. I kind of want to say, y'all figure it out. But I feel like we have to come up, say something as a group maybe, or not. Anyone want to make a motion on anything or
Well,
follow
I
up
don't
on
wanna
that or
make a
say
motion.
anything else?
I don't have to make a motion. I do have an opinion, and my opinion is that nothing against you personally, nothing against the mayor personally, who seems to be a very nice man, but the history of the last couple of years has proven that that is not been an office in which we can trust to help us, and so it makes it very easy to lean in almost any other direction. So that's my opinion, and I'm with Max. I think we need to hire somebody now. I think the money has to be put someplace where we can get access to it. I think we need to hire the candidate that we selected who's good, and I think we all need to move forward. And I just don't understand why the mayor's office in particular keeps throwing obstacles in our path. And so that's my opinion.
I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate all the comments today, for listening to our frustrations. Also, all of your efforts to whip votes for your particular pieces of legislation. It's certainly not lost on us also. But yeah, I don't see any reason for us as a commission to make a statement or an assertion. I mean, we have done that already multiple times for 3 years. We have drafted our own legislation, and we have sent that suggestion to be done, and then that's also not been accepted. And then we have already gone through this process multiple times, and the clear message that we've received is that satisfactory answer that will please all of the powers that be, whether that's the mayor's office or city council, is that answer will not come from us. So I don't have a particular endorsement, and I don't know if this is particularly the right time as well to say it, but this will also be my last meeting in this commission. So after adjournment, you can fill my seat. So.
Got it. Well, we'd hope you wouldn't resign. One more thing.
Yeah, real quick, just from a logistical perspective, Bill's tracking first reading for tomorrow, second reading is when it's going to go to committee for discussion, and then there's a third reading. So there's also time for you to not take an official position yet, but to kind of think through it and see how things are going. I also encourage everybody to email council members at nashville.gov and come speak. I know you've been doing it for a while. I know it's been going on for 3 years, but especially with almost, again, 20 council members signed on to one bill or another, there's a lot of attention on this. And so regardless of which bill you support or none of the bills, I just encourage folks on this commission and people that are supportive of it to come out and share their thoughts.
And just remember that, again, it's you guys getting to move forward with the person that has made it to the finish line or not being able to. because it'll be set up for the hiring process to start all over again with the other piece of legislation.
Yes.
So for all those people who are talking about having us support their particular aspect of how that works, I think I would love to see that level of support for us. Particularly, you've just heard Trey say he doesn't want to do this anymore. He has been a major force behind having this work. He, as you learned in the beginning of this meeting, is very well informed and has really been a central part of our effort. And if I were people who were in the positions that you're in, I would be standing up now and asking Trey to stay on, which is what I've been doing for like the last month.
Right.
And it's important that he does, because if he leaves, I'm the next one to go, and I'm about to term out, and I haven't been reselected by whoever it is that reselects me. And so I may be going too, and if we drag this out any further, well, all your expertise will be gone.
Trey's also a lawyer, which is great to have.
Yeah, I would love to see some kind of, instead of two bills, one bill that like kind of, or no bills, and we could just go on with how we thought it was. But one bill that kind of compromises on it. But is there anybody else want to make a comment or a motion? Anything? Last chance? Do I hear any motions at all?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Somebody.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks.